Okay. Here we go, Kevin. Here we go. We'll call this regular city council meeting to order on January 16th, 2024. Actually, we cannot call this meeting to order. The agenda says 7:05 p.m.
Oh, man,
Everybody sit tight for 3 minutes.
I'm so sorry. God,
No,
I hate when
you're
I
okay.
do that.
You're okay.
It's from a previous.
Yeah.
It's from a previous.
I just looked down and I'm like,
From after we had that public hearing.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah. We all reuse templates.
yeah.
Go ahead and cut it off, Jake. Microphone's on. Okay. We'll call this regular city council meeting to order on January 16th, 2024 at 7:05 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
Mrs. McClellan,
Present.
Mr. Parrott,
Present.
Mr. Downs,
Present.
Mrs. O'Donoghue.
Present.
Okay, a couple items real quick for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Rolfs is not here tonight, but she is dialed in on the phone call. She would like to participate in the meeting. We haven't done this before, so I had to look up the ordinance. The ordinance requires that the council take a vote prior to the meeting to allow Ms. Rolfs to participate in the meeting. A majority of the council has to approve that before that can happen. So, we're going to take a vote to allow Ms. Rolfs to participate in the meeting remotely. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
Mrs. McClellan,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Downs,
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue.
Yes.
Okay, and before the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to do a moment of silence for Patrolman Josh Durbin that we lost this past weekend. So if we could do a moment of silence for him. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, is there anybody like to speak under public participation? Okay, for the record, there is no public participation this evening. We will start with the consent agenda, which consists of 5A, payment of bills, and 5B, approval of minutes, December 18th, 2023, regular city council meeting, December 18th, 2023, public hearing, tax levy meeting, January 2nd, 2024, regular city council meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Donahue made the motion to approve. And Ms. McClellan, I am, sorry, Ms. Ms. McClellan, second the motion. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McClellan,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Downs,
Yes.
Mrs. Ross,
yes,
Mrs. O'Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Sanders.
Yes.
I apologize for that, Robin. That won't happen again. Okay, moving down to item number 6. So item number 6 and item number 9B, we've talked with the city attorney and we can combine those into a single vote because one is for the resolution, the other one is for the agreement. This is the Comcast franchise agreement. So we'll go ahead and vote on item 6 and 9B. For the record, I'll read them. Item number 6 is the resolution authorizing and approving non-exclusive franchise agreement for cable services with Comcast. 9B is approval of cable television franchise agreement between the City of Lincoln and Comcast of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio LLC for a period of 7 years. I have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Ms. Donahue made the motion. Mr. Downs, second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Downs,
Yes.
Mrs. Ross,
yes,
Mrs. O'Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
Mrs. McClellan,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to item 8A, the city treasurer's report for December 2023. Treasurer Conzo.
Thank you, Mayor. You've all received copies of the report, and you can see the totals there. Our fund balance, general fund balance, $4,780,000. You see it's down slightly from last month, but it's improved over where it was a year ago at this time. A lot of the variations in this have to do with when various bills are due and contract payments and renewal of contracts, loan payments, things of that sort. You'll see the listing there of the various state tax receipts, and they're also included on the attached tables. I will say with the regard to the pension funds, we did see improvement last time in the consolidated Illinois Police Officers Pension Investment Fund went up by about $435,000. So we were certainly happy to see that, but that has been up and down over the last several months. And with the Fire Pension Fund, we don't have the December figures yet. Probably have them tomorrow or the next day. They tend to come out a little bit later. But that one was up also by about $180,000 over where it was a month ago. Moving on to the various sources of revenue, the revenue streams that we receive from the state of Illinois. You'll see there, we're now receiving the state tax receipts for the sales tax and use tax receipts for September, and that was up quite a bit over what it was a year ago. Of course, as I've pointed out many times, when things cost more, the amount of the tax on them will be more as well. For the year, a year ago at this time, we were at about $2,830,000. So we're up about $84,000 over where we were a year ago. A lot of that, again, has to do with inflation. Non-home rule sales tax, there you see a similar thing. There we're up about $26,000 over where we were a year ago. And for the month of September, we did pick up a little bit there, just under $3,000. State income tax, now there we're down. A year ago at this point, we were $1,984,192. And as I've mentioned before, with this is allocated by the state based on population. So they're now using the 2020 census figures, and the 2020 census indicated a decrease in population from the 2010 census. And that's a factor they use to determine this. They don't base it on the tax paid by the residents of Lincoln. They take the entire income tax receipts for the state of Illinois, and then the proportion of the population, take the entire population of the state of Illinois, and the percentage of that reside in Lincoln is how they allocate the taxes. Same is true with the motor fuel tax. So you are going to see this. I think it's dropped now. It's been a year since they started using, or over a year since they started using the 2020 census. So you're going to see this remain in that pattern. It should not continue to go down because that same table will be used until the next decennial census, which is in 2030. Replacement tax there, you see it's down a little, but we expected that. It is up considerably over where it was. This used to be a $300,000 to $500,000 source of revenue not too long ago. Last year, when they began a different system of assessing this and collecting it, there was a substantial increase. We expected it to come down a little, and it has, but it's still much greater than it was in years prior to last year. And finally, the motor fuel tax, you'll see there decrease as well, and that is for the same reason that I just mentioned with regard to the income tax. And finally, the video gaming tax up about $4,000, just under $4,000 over what it was a year ago. So I think that has leveled off. I don't think you're going to see that change much. You may recall I said at some point there'll be a leveling off with this, and I think that's kind of where we are. And that's all I have, unless there are any questions.
I've got one for you.
Okay.
Going back to the state income tax receipts, so can you give your thoughts? Because you say they're down, but I was looking at the reports, and it looks like March and April were down, not significantly, but they were, which tells me that state income tax across the entire state was down, right?
Yeah, and that could be there. When you look at it on a month-by-month basis, though, the thing to remember is a lot of it has to do with collections more so than a trend in and of itself, and also in processing that at the state level. So that could have a lot to do with it. You look at May, and it's up considerably over what it was a year ago. But overall, you see a downward trend of about $60,000 for the year, for 11 months to date. I generally try not to take one particular month or two particular months as a trend, but to look at the larger picture. Like September and October, you see there, we were up considerably over a year ago, but still on the whole, the trend has been downward.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how that fluctuates based on payment schedules, it sounds like. Okay, that's the only question I had. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Conzo.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is 8B, City Clerk's Report for December 2023. Ms. Bateman.
In the month of December, we received $254,557.20 in sewer receipts, which we did receive from both prisons in the amount of $22,761.36 of that. Just a reminder, the letters will also go out again in the next bills at the end of the month regarding the paying the sewer for a year, if you would like. Chris is in the midst of getting those reads from the water company right now, and she's like at roughly around 1,500 people. Rates will change out of the whole town. That's up or down. She doesn't know which. It's just total of about around 1,500 people changes she's making. So that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Bateman? Okay, moving on to 8C, Department Head Reports for December 2023. I looked earlier and all of the reports are on file except for one, and that will be on file shortly on the city website. Bless you. Okay, moving on to item 9A, approval of annual audit by Estes, Bridgewater, and Ogden for fiscal year 2022-2023.
So moved.
Second.
Alderman Bateman made the motion, Alderwoman O'Donohue second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Donoghue,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Downs,
Yes.
Mrs. Ross.
yes,
Okay. 9B has been voted on already. We'll move to 9C. Approval of a 3-year agreement with GPS Insight Fleet Solutions in the city of Lincoln in an amount not to exceed $32,020.50.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Downs made the motion, Alderwoman O'Donohue second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Donoghue,
Yes.
Mr. Bateman,
Yes.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen,
Yes.
Mr. Parrott,
Yes.
Mr. Downs,
Yes.
Mrs. Ross.
yes.
Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Not necessarily an announcement, but more a request for the council. Time has come for us to start talking about electric aggregation again. Some of those who have been on the council for a while are familiar with this topic. Alderman Hopeful used to do that for us, and since he's no longer with us, we'll need another representative to kind of take the charge on that. So you don't have to give me an answer tonight, but if you're interested in being the representative for aggregation for the council and the city, please let me know. I need to get you in contact with Stone River. Okay. And that brings us to Ms. Rolfs. I believe you've got a topic that you want to share with the council?
Yes, I do. And excuse me if I start sneezing. I've been doing it all day. But we get a magazine on our desks at least once a month, and it's from the Illinois Municipal League. And I don't know if some of you still may have yours. I'm looking at the one for January of 2024. So that's this month. And if you look at the front of it, on the lower right-hand corner, it says Education in Illinois. And it talks about STEM, ag, and trade schools. I am chairman for the Women's Club of their education committee, and one of the projects that we do is the STEM project. We work with Chester East, West Lincoln Broadwell, Carroll Catholic, Zion Lutheran, and District 27. And what those schools request is that the Women's Club collect items that they can use in making some of their very cute and ingenious math, science, tech projects, and we deliver them to the schools once a month. What I would like to do for the schools, teachers, and the students is to try and get to them this IML Review magazine. I think that if you look at, there's 3 pages that covers an article in there about the STEM program, and I would like to take a magazine to each one of the schools to show the administration and the teachers, and then they can share that with their students. But I think if you look at that, it's very informative. It is probably one of the most upcoming programs in our school systems in not only Illinois, but all over the United States. So I would just appreciate, if you aren't going to use yours, if you throw yours away, if you could save them for me, I would appreciate it. Otherwise, I will have to see if there's some other way I can get other copies of the IML Review. Thank you.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes, Alderman Ross is correct. I work for the State Board of Education and oversaw the STEM and vocational programs there for almost 15 years. And in career and technical education, some of you will know it as vocational education. The state receives approximately, I'm gonna guess now, around $46 million from the federal government in Perkins, and then the state has roughly 50-some million that they put into it. And I know that they're asking for more. And the state board does realize the importance of career and technical education, and is that this article is speaking on is exactly that: ag, STEM, for those that don't know, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. and then trade and vocational. So yeah, I'm very supportive. And Wanda, I know Sam and I, we just put our magazines on your desk.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have an announcement this evening that they would like to share? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alderman Downs made the motion, Alderman Parrott second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Meeting is adjourned at 7:22 p.m. All right, I'm disconnecting the call.